wish for blue skies every day, but since you all are most of you may know that Ohio sometimes is cloudy, but we love these sunny days for sure. But again, here's my information. I'm Nancy Gibson, Senior Associate Director of Admissions, and here's my contact info. I actually have been at Denison for starting my 24th year, so a long time. It's been just a fantastic experience to be a part of the Denison community. My daughter Vanessa actually also graduated from Denison in 2017, so I'm also a Denison parent, which was a lot of fun for me and continues to be fun for me. So it has been fantastic to be able to work with students from all over the country, and certainly that have worked with Sterling Consulting. And so I appreciate being able to have the chance to connect with you. So again, I'm your contact person. So I just want to start off with just some of the basic facts and figures. You know, a lot of times you get this from all the different schools that you're looking at, and these statistics certainly are important, and just want to highlight a few, but then also want to take some time to talk about what makes Denison unique, because a lot of times it can all start blending together. So just a few things I want to point out. We have a total of 2,300 students on our campus, and actually we currently are in person, and we have about 1,800 of those students are on campus. The rest that are the majority of our international students, and so they're abroad but learning remotely and online. So we have students from all 50 states and 56 countries at this point. But that big block right there in the middle, the big red block, is an important one, that we're a 4-year residential community. A lot of times, you know, students will go to college and they'll live on campus for the first year or maybe 2 years, and then they live off campus. And for Denison, the thing that's wonderful is that students actually live on campus all 4 years. We actually have 36 different places that our students can live on campus, and it ranges anywhere from, it could be a house, it could be a traditional residence hall, and we actually just built a brand new residence hall called Silverstein Hall that is all apartment style housing. And so it's university housing, but they're all apartments. And so now we're at a point where any senior that wants to live in apartment style housing can do so, which is pretty fantastic. So lots to pick and choose from, but it really truly creates a great sense of community, being the fact that everybody is not only learning there, but also living there for all 4 years. So something just to kind of keep in mind about Denison. Because we are small, we have a student-teacher ratio of 9:1, which is fantastic, and faculty know who you are and know you by name and all of that good stuff. And then we have 54 different academic programs. So that's important, certainly, as you're looking at colleges, to look at what your options will be and what the variety is. And I'll actually show you a list of those academic programs here shortly. But I do want to talk a little bit about location, because that's really important. You know, with us, we're located in Granville, Ohio, so we're in central Ohio, and we are right next door to Columbus, Ohio. And so because of that, it really creates a fantastic opportunity for our students. We always say, you know, it's the best of both worlds and everything that comes along with that. And so the village of Granville was actually founded by people from Granville, Massachusetts in 1805. So it looks very much like New England. And so it's kind of like you run into New England in the middle of Ohio, which is a little surprising. But it's a really fantastic community. There are only about 6,000 people, so it's actually a village. It's not even large enough to be a town. The people of Granville are fantastic. They will come up on campus and come to speakers and music performances and theater productions and sporting events. Our students obviously spend a lot of time in Granville, and you know, they've got great coffee shops and places to eat, and I think there's 3 stoplights total. So it's definitely a very small community, but it's wonderful. And we truly appreciate the good relationship we have. There are some college towns that don't have a good relationship with the college in their town, and so we feel real lucky to have a great relationship with the village of Granville. So as I mentioned, to be right down the road from Columbus is fantastic. I'm actually speaking with you today from one of the suburbs of Columbus, so I'm on the southeastern side of the Columbus area. So it takes me about 30 minutes or so, and I'm right there at Denison. The actual city of Columbus is 2 million plus people, so it's actually the 14th largest city in the nation, which is a little surprising. People don't realize that about Columbus. So there are a lot of headquarters of major corporations here in Columbus. You got Nationwide Insurance. The L Brands used to be headquartered here. We also, Wendy's was founded here in Columbus. And so usually everybody's had something from Wendy's at some point. And so fun fact, Wendy is the daughter of Dave Thomas, who's the founder of Wendy's. Her son actually graduated from Denison in 2013. So that's a fun fact. But we do take advantage of everything that Columbus has to offer. So, you know, if we are ever hosting an event in Columbus, we'll provide transportation for that. So we may have our students go see the Blue Jackets play, or they may go to Easton to go shopping, or they may go see a Broadway production at the Ohio Theater. We'll provide transportation for that. But, you know, students are allowed to have their cars on campus. So we have no restrictions with who can or can't have a car on campus. We actually have 900 acres at Denison, so there's a lot of space for 2,300 students. And so we don't have any parking problems. So if you wanted to bring your car as early as your freshman year, you could. I always say it's a family decision, so whatever your family decides is just fine. And again, we'll provide transportation. To be honest, because Granville's so small, I think we've got, you can count it on one hand how many Uber drivers or Lyft drivers we actually have. So that's why we try and make sure we've got ways that you can get around. Also, if you are doing community service in the Central Ohio area, you can actually check out, we have a fleet of cars. And as long as you do a defensive driving course, you can actually check out one of our cars to be able to go and do community service. So we try and make things as accessible as possible. The other really great thing that we just opened this fall is the Denison Launch Lab. And it's actually an opportunity for our students to go into Columbus and be able to network with professionals in the Columbus area. It is located in the Short North area, if I'm not mistaken. I have yet to see it, so I need to get in there and see it. But the idea is that you're blending the liberal arts with the professional skills that are important for students to have. And so they are then right there in downtown Columbus working with professionals and getting a chance to have access to them. We also are opening this facility up for other small liberal arts colleges. And so I know that they're in the process of starting to be able to do that. And so that's exciting too, to be able to offer that to some of our fellow colleges in the area. So that we think is a great thing for Denison to be right there. And again, to be able to utilize the Columbus community. So again, as you're thinking about colleges, think about location. That's really important. Do you want to be close to home? Do you want to be far away from home, near a city? All of those things are key. As I mentioned, my daughter Vanessa went to Denison, and my son Charlie is actually a senior in Florida at the University of Miami. So very different schools. One was close to home, one was far from home, you know, so even siblings can be very different with what they're looking for in a college. So that's a little bit about our location that I wanted to share with you. So as I mentioned, our academic programs are vast, and so they're listed here. And so I wanted to bring your attention to a couple of things. So ironically, even though we're in the midst of a pandemic right now, this has been in the works for a couple of years, but we actually just added global health this summer. And so that's a brand new major for us. We reconfigured our political science major, so now it's politics and public affairs, to give our students a little bit more breadth in what they're being able to learn within that area. We also have, in recent years, we added global commerce. So about 3 years ago, I think 3 or 4 years ago, we added global commerce. We also added data analytics. We reconfigured our athletic training major, so now that's health, exercise, and sports studies. And then we added some concentrations. So in econ, we now have a concentration in financial economics. And in English, we have a concentration in narrative journalism. So some really unique programs, and certainly it was time for us. Prior to us bringing on global commerce and all those majors several years ago, we had not added new majors at Denison since 1995. So it was definitely time. And it was a part of our president's strategic plan when he came in. He's been here now for 6 years. So when he came in several years ago, it was time. And so it's been exciting to be able to see these new academic programs pop up. We also have kind of those traditional areas that you expect at a liberal arts college. So some really popular majors for us as well are English, biology, communication, psychology. One interesting fact about psychology is it's actually considered a science at Denison. So students can do a Bachelor of Arts or a Bachelor of Science in psychology. And that's pretty unique for a small school. And something just to keep in mind. And then we also have cinema. A lot of smaller schools don't have cinema as well. So just wanted to touch on some of those areas. And Laura, I'm not sure if you had any specific questions about any majors while we're talking about that.
No, actually, both of my students are bio majors.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, yeah. One thing I will say about biology is that we certainly have a lot of students that go on to medical school. And so we do have our pre-professional programs, and so pre-med, pre-law, all of those areas. But what we do is certainly we'll have students, for example, major in biology, be in our pre-med program, getting them the preparation they need to go on into medical school. But if ever at any point they decide, hey, I don't want to go to medical school, they still have majored in biology. And so they may decide to go into research, they may decide to teach. So it doesn't limit them to just being able to have one option. And so we think it works out really well in that way. The other thing I'll mention is students actually have until the end of their sophomore year to officially declare their major. So they've got plenty of time. And in that first year and a half is when they're taking our liberal arts curriculum. So that's when students, basically our requirement is we want everyone to take courses in the humanities, sciences, social sciences, and fine arts, but we let students decide what those courses will be. So for example, in the sciences, a student could take a biochem class and a physics class to satisfy their science requirement, or they could take astronomy and psychology to satisfy their science requirement. So it just depends upon what they're most interested in. So when it's all said and done, every student that comes through Denison has a different liberal arts curriculum because they've put together the courses that look most interesting to them in all of those areas. So we feel like by the time they get to the end of their sophomore year, which is when they actually have to officially declare a major, they've tried it all out. So they've got a good sense of what they like, what they don't like. They may just solely decide to pursue a major. They may decide on a major or a minor. And then there are also about 30% of our students that will double major by the time they graduate from Denison. So, and it's doable. Students can get done in 4 years as a double major as well. Also, many of them are bringing in potentially college credit from, taking a course on a college campus, or they have AP or IB scores that will get them college credit as well. So it allows for a little bit of wiggle room, but that typically is what happens. And then every student also has a faculty advisor. So they have a professor that's assigned to them from the very beginning. They usually will be assigned just in general because many of our students are undecided, which is really normal for us. And then once they officially declare their major, then they will usually shift to whatever area that is. So they have an advisor in that area. For example, my daughter majored in psychology and minored in music, so she actually had 2 advisors in both of those areas. So it's nice knowing that you've got that support of a faculty member there to help you with the basics of, scheduling your classes and, if you're having any difficulty, but also someone you can bounce ideas off of if you're trying to figure out what you want to major in and so forth. So, but that's kind of our academic programs in a nutshell. Are there any other questions before I move on?
Yeah, actually, I want to ask you about music. Is it audition based?
Yeah, so if you major in music, you do audition for that, and we do have audition days. They are doing that virtually. But yeah, so students think they want to major in it. Yes. If you decide you want to minor in music, you can also do an audition. I can tell you in my daughter's case, she decided once she was at Denison, and then they are required to do like courses in theory and things like that, and then they do a final recital and so forth. So it will vary based on a student majoring or minoring. But if they have a sense that they want to do that, then they can audition prior to coming to Denison.
Okay. The bluegrass emphasis is really unique. I have not seen that before.
It is. It's interesting because we've had faculty that had an interest in that many, many years ago. It's been around for a long time, actually. And so now to be able to have an emphasis in bluegrass is fantastic. We got a lot of students that take advantage of that, which is a lot of fun.
That's great.
Yeah, so that's academics at Denison. And again, lots of different options. And I think the key is that there's flexibility, no pressure to know coming in the door what you want to do. And you've got people there to guide you along the way, which I think is a huge plus. So obviously students are very active at Denison inside and outside of the classroom. We actually utilize our hill extremely well. So uphill are the majority of our academic buildings as well as our residence halls. And then if you head down the back part of the hill, that's where you'll come upon our athletic complex So this is the Mitchell Athletic Complex. We actually have 24 different varsity sports that students can pursue. We also have 25 to 30 different club and intramural sports as well. We have had incredible success in athletics. We're Division III, so we're a part of the North Coast Athletic Conference. So actually, if you look at that bottom picture right at the top, you'll see banners from other colleges. So those are some of the other colleges that are in our conference. So the really great thing is that this facility really is for all of our students. And so certainly the athletes appreciate having an incredible facility like this. And it's truly a state-of-the-art facility for a school of our size. It really looks like D1 facilities, to be honest. The pool, we renovated our facilities several years ago, and so the pool still feels new to me. And we're able to host a lot of really fantastic meets because of the size of this pool, the Olympic-sized pool, an incredible diving well. And then actually up top here is the Crown Fitness Center. It's actually where the old pool was. They filled it in and made it a whole fitness center, which is pretty amazing. So it's got, I think, 100 different pieces of equipment in there. The really great thing is because we're doing social distancing, they've actually, I've seen it, they've moved everything around so that students can still be able to work out and use that facility. So they've done a nice job of that. But, you know, again, this facility is for anyone, and within the actual Mitchell Athletic Complex, obviously, we've got things like indoor-outdoor track. We've got indoor-outdoor tennis courts. Obviously, our basketball courts and volleyball and all of that are within this facility, but it really is fantastic. We've also had a lot of success. So we won 17 all-sports trophies for our conference, meaning that we have strength in men's and women's sports. And our men's swimming and diving team in 2019 are national champions. So they appreciate the nice pool, and they do a fantastic job. And so again, you know, at a Division III school, you can truly come and be a student athlete. And so I think our students really appreciate being able to come and be able to balance the two and be able to do what they need to get done in the classroom, but also in the field or in the pool or on the courts as well. And so we do, again, feel real lucky to have this facility. So I'm going to bring it down to the front part of the hill. So this is where our whole fine arts complex is actually. And so what we're looking at is the Michael D. Eisner Center for the Performing Arts. Right there in that middle square at the podium is Michael Eisner. And so something important to know about Michael Eisner is that he's the former CEO of Disney, and he's also a Denison alum. So he gave the lead gift for this incredible facility. And it allowed us to bring music, theater, and dance all together under one roof, which has been fantastic. And so this just opened this past fall. And so to be able to have this amazing facility has been great for our students. They've been able to collaborate. They always collaborated between all these departments, but now they're bringing them all together under one roof because they were all in different buildings. Apparently, from what I've heard, the stage is one of the best stages, that our main stage is one of the best stages around. And, you know, there are so many students that will be involved in the fine arts. To graduate from Denison, all students have to take 2 courses in different areas of the fine arts. So they may take a theater class and an art class, or a cinema class and a dance class, but they do have to take 2 courses. And so at some point, everybody makes their way down the front part of the hill. And again, to have these facilities is amazing. And actually right out there on those steps, as I was driving home, our jazz ensemble was doing a concert outside, which was really fantastic. So I know that the Village of Granville appreciated that too. So, but it was wonderful, and a way to still continue to be able to do music and gather together. So we are definitely, you know, being creative in ways that we're still being able to deliver music and performances and theater productions and so forth. So about 33% of our students are involved in music ensembles. I've been to some productions where half of the students are non-majors, so they just enjoy doing it. You can take lessons if you want. There are a lot of students that want to continue to do lessons that they've done musically, and they can absolutely do that with our faculty. There's kind of a reasonable fee that they'll pay to do that. If you're a major or a minor, you can have lessons without any fees as well. So that also is a nice plus too. But we encourage students to be active. We have over 130 different organizations on our campus, so there's a lot for students to do. We're definitely not a suitcase college where everybody goes home on the weekend. You know, we're a place where people are here. About 90% of the students want to stay on campus on a typical weekend. And that's, again, that adds to that sense of community because people are truly there and being involved and being engaged. I always tell students, do 2 or 3 things you love when you go to college. Then once you figure out how college works, you can add to that. So my daughter did the exact opposite though. She had 10 things immediately and then was like, wait, I've got to delete some things. So once she figured that out, after the first few weeks, it made much more sense. So, but it's a great way to help make that transition and to be connected to people who have interests in similar things as you do. So we encourage that as well. So there's a lot happening both inside and outside the classroom. Any questions, Laura, about the fine arts or anything that I can answer?
Yeah, so are there practice rooms in this new center?
They are. So there are practice rooms in this new building, and students are able to utilize those as well. So they've added many more practice rooms than we previously had. And even for the, we've got the dance studio, and then we've got black box theater space. I mean, it's just, there's so much that we're able to now do, which is amazing.
Nice. Thank you.
Sure. So let's head on and talk a little bit about outcomes. And so the Knowlton Center for Career Exploration is a really important place for us at Denison, because that's really where they're helping students to take those steps to launch into their future careers. So this is a place that coordinates our internships. And so with that, one thing that's unique, and again, a lot of colleges have internship programs. The unique thing about our internship program is that students are able to do internships as early as their freshman year. That's extremely rare. And these internships are all over the country, so they're nationwide. But the really great thing is that they actually can get stipends for these internships. They can actually get paid for these internships because the Knowlton Foundation several years ago gave us a $9 million gift to be able to fund our internships. And so, you know, as students have them all over the country, they're not having to pick between a summer job and an internship opportunity. So they can actually go out in the summer, get experience, have a great internship, get funding for that, and you know, use that as they're looking to go into their future careers. I always tell students, internships let you see if it's what you want to do, if it's what you don't want to do. I mean, you might get into an internship and say, no way, this is definitely not what I want to do, or it might be exactly what you want to do. I can give you an example. We had a student who is a close friend of ours who was a Denison student and worked in our admissions office. She actually had multiple internships, but the summer before her senior year, she actually had an internship at Amazon at their headquarters in Seattle, Washington. And at the end of the summer, they said, hey, you did a fantastic job. We want to hire you. Well, as a result of that, she actually came into her senior year with a job at Amazon in their headquarters. And it was fantastic. She still is working there in their communications division as her first job out of college. So it can turn into some really great opportunities. We also have an incredible alumni network. They will host internships. They will let us know if they have jobs. They'll come back and speak. They'll fund, you know, things for Denison. I mean, they do so many amazing things. I talked about the Launch Lab. They'll also prepare students, the Knowlton Center, prepare students for graduate or professional school. They'll help get them prepped for those entrance exams. We do mock interviews. So there are so many different things that we do to get students ready to take that next step. And they'll start working on their resumes from the very beginning. One important feature is that we actually now have 16 career coaches. So we actually have 16 different professional staff members that are there to sit down and work with our students as they're looking to take those next steps. So all of those things we think are really important. This next slide just shows you some outcomes. So 6 months after students graduate from Denison, about 90% of our students are alumni then, are employed or going to graduate professional school or in a service opportunity like Fulbright or Peace Corps. Then if you look below, that's a recent snapshot of where some of our students, as they're graduating, are going to law and med school. Harvard Medical School should also be listed on there. So they're very competitive. They're going to Ivy League institutions and everything across the board. Some students want to go back to their home states to do graduate or professional school, so it will vary. And then if you look 5 years after Denison, about 99% of alumni are employed or in graduate school. 96% of alumni are working in their desired field or position, and then 94% are satisfied with how well Denison prepared them as they headed out there. And that's an average salary for those working full time. So these outcomes are important. I always tell students, if you're not getting some of these statistics, it's important to ask for them because you want to know what's going to happen after I graduate from college. And so this certainly is some great information and shows that the preparation that we're giving them at Denison is definitely working as they're heading out. Any questions about this? And then I'll just talk about admissions and then we'll wrap up. Okay, so we are a common application school. So with that, we have deadlines for early decision as well as regular decision. One of the things that's important is that with ED, students do submit the FAFSA and the CSS profile with that, so that when, if they want to be considered for need-based aid, so that when we get back to them with a decision, which is about a month later, so if you applied November 15th, you'd hear by December 15th. But that way they've got all the information in their hands. So they'll know if they've received any type of scholarship or any other funding. So all of that does need to be submitted for that consideration. Our regular deadline is January 15th. We get back to everybody by about the second week of March is when students hear back from us. And our entire pool hears back at the same time. So we spend the time reading the entire pool and then notifying everyone at once. When we're reviewing applications, we're doing a holistic review. So we're looking at every single piece of information that students send to us. We're being very thorough. We want to make sure that we know all that we can about a student. So we're spending a lot of time on their transcript, looking at the rigor of their curriculum, really getting a sense of how they performed academically. We are a test optional school. Many schools are turning test optional due to COVID-19. We actually are in our 12th year of being a test optional school. So we know it works. We know that students are graduating at the same rates, whether they submitted their scores or not. They're performing well on campus at the same rate. So we know it works. We don't require anything in addition. So some colleges may need an additional graded paper or an essay. We don't need anything in addition. We're able to really be able to tell that as students are applying and with the information that we're asking them for. We're obviously looking at your essay. We're looking at what teacher and counselor have to say. So make sure that you're being thorough in your application. Make sure that you're letting your teacher and counselors know that they need to write recommendations for you. And all of those things are important as we're doing a whole holistic review of your application to see if you'll be a good fit for Denison. So one thing I do want to mention, we certainly are a highly selective school, so we have a 28% acceptance rate. And we do, if you do submit your financial aid information, we do meet 100% of demonstrated needs. So basically, you know, we've got the resources and are putting the resources towards making Denison affordable. And I can tell you, even though we're in COVID times right now, our president's top priority is financial aid and making sure that students can afford it. And even as families were struggling or losing jobs or having so many things happen during this time, we went back and made adjustments to financial aid awards as needed so that we can truly be able to continue to support our students. So that in a nutshell is the information that I wanted to share about Denison. We do have some virtual opportunities. If students are interested in doing an interview with myself or any of my colleagues, they can sign up for virtual interviews. We also have some virtual info sessions that are similar to this. We also have a lot of webinars that we've been doing both over the summer and as we head into the fall. So feel free to, you can see those, they've all been recorded and you can see those at our virtual connections spot on our website as well. So that's all I have. Any questions?
Yes. So, is there opportunity for merit scholarship? And if so, is there a separate application process or is everyone considered?
Yeah, so basically when students apply, they're automatically considered. So they don't have to do anything separate to be considered for a merit scholarship. I think our beginning spot is still $5,000 and it goes all the way up to full tuition level with increments in between. So as we're considering students, we're gonna look and consider them for all of those scholarship opportunities. But they are all merit-based. With music, one thing I didn't mention is we do have music scholarships as well. So when students audition, they're also being considered for those music scholarships too.
Great. And then there was something I saw, I believe it was on the first slide, and that was about paid research opportunities.
Oh, yes, yep. So similar to the internships, we also have paid research opportunities. Students actually apply to be able to do research through our Summer Scholars Program. We've got about 150 students that typically stay on campus. They do research all summer long, and then they present their findings at the end of the summer. So we just had our symposium. They present at the start of the school year, but they're actually paid a $3,500 stipend. Their housing's taken care of, and it just allows them time to really be able to do focused research at Denison. And honestly, the research they're doing really is graduate level work. So oftentimes they're getting published, they're co-presenting with faculty. So they're doing some really amazing things as a result of the research that they've done. And there's research that happens throughout the school year too, but this is kind of a concentrated time where students will come and do research.
Wonderful. That's great.
Sure.
That's all my questions. Christina, did you have anything?
No, that was awesome. As always, Nancy, thank you. And I love the Eisner Center. Thank you for sharing that. I love seeing that.
Oh, it smells new. It's fantastic. So yeah, I mean, definitely if you get a chance to pop on down, it is spectacular. And we're very lucky to have been given that gift by Michael Eisner. So it's fantastic.
Thank you.
Well, I appreciate being able to spend time with you. Again, if anyone has any questions or needs more information, don't hesitate to have them reach out to me. I'm happy to work with them.
That's great. Thank you so much for joining us today. I can't wait to share all of this with my students.
Absolutely. And it's been a pleasure to spend time with you this morning, right? We're still in the morning.
It's still morning. Yes.
All right, well, take care.
Thanks, Nancy. Take care.
We'll see you.
Bye-bye.